Okay, so today we're going to be looking actually at a fire loss that I did quite a while ago, and this is in light of the wildfires that have been happening in Ontario. So I'm actually from Michigan. I'm Dustin with Empty Box, and being in Michigan, we had horrible smoke from it. Obviously, not as bad as other areas, but I do think yesterday for us, which was a Friday, we actually had some of the most toxic air in the nation, maybe even in the world for that day. So, all that to say, horrible things that have happened there. If you've been following us, you know I've been working the Pacific Palisades wildfires since March last year. So I think it's almost been 18 months that I've been working with fire losses out there and helping homeowners and contractors, making sure that they're getting proper values on contents inventories. So for total losses or still standing homes, making sure that they're getting the value for those, as well as helping with the still standing homes and the total loss burned down homes. So I just thought, I was looking through files. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've done a claim in Ontario before. And sure enough, I did. This was a school loss. And so just looking here, I'm going to zoom in. So this was kind of the area of where it was in Ontario. I think the fires were more up in this area, I'm pretty sure. And so I live in this area right here. But the we're going to look through kind of what had happened on this claim. Let's see. Okay, so this one there was a few things that I helped with on this. This was the main area of the loss actually, and it was a fire. I think that originated on the roof from the photos that I can see. I think maybe I'd like mixed it up with another loss because I couldn't find a photo, but I felt like there was a spot right in here. I think it was a different school that I did in Colorado though. So this one I think actually was from the roof portion, and we'll see that as we go through. So they went up on the roof here, and as they were doing their inspection, electrical panels there, and then this looks like the area of where it actually did have the loss itself, and we'll see some more of that as we go along through these photos, but I'm pretty sure it was right in this area. Yeah, you can see on that next photo, right along that, there was a fire maybe behind the wall, got into the brickwork and some of that. And then this is just kind of overview shots. But once we get inside, you can see they actually had to take out a lot of drop ceilings. So the smoke kind of worked its way along there. And then they were doing a lot of contents on this one, actually, is what I helped with, I remember. But it was writing the proper scope. So in here, we did a lot of cleaning items. There were some remove and replace items, like a lot of the ceiling diffusers. There was drywall that had to be removed, replaced. There was actually stud walls that were metal that had to be removed, replaced. A lot of carpet. But there were some rooms that were like further away from the actual loss that just got cleaning to the concrete tiles. Some of the ceilings got cleaned. But pretty substantial loss on that side of things. Like I know for
Yes.
for the interior, just the structure portion, we came out to like $1 million just for that. But the contents was probably more interesting because what you'll see here, what they did was, and we'll go back to that assessment, but what they did was they just did a flat rate percentage. So my client on this one, he was actually a consultant and he helped with like delayed claims. Was his main portion on this, and I was helping him kind of prepare all the documents for what I think was pre-litigation. I don't think this ever actually went to litigation court-wise, but I think it was in pre-litigation, and he was helping making sure that they paid properly. So as you go through this, you'll see like everything 50% depreciation on all the books, and then as you get through some of this stuff, they had like I know when we go back to that assessment, there was some things like toys for the kids. They had workout equipment for the kids. Everything was depreciated at the same amount throughout the document. And so what I had helped with was actually going through and looking at like how old did things look, and then coming up with like an average depreciation rate for it. So food 100% depreciated. There was like 45 on auto parts, and then as we went through, I went room by room essentially and just looked at like, hey, stationery, that's fair. Those had nothing on it, but Appliances did 70%. There was books, we did 70%. Building supplies, 25%, and so on. So this was a really interesting loss. Like I remember going through it and thinking, the detail and time on it was quite insane, to be honest. Like sometimes I prefer when losses are a little more simple. This one had a lot of detail, a lot of weekends I worked on this one, I remember. But you can see kind of going through here, it's like all these areas got affected pretty heavily, smoke damage. But when you start getting into all the drop ceiling, just got completely damaged from the smoke up in it. So you can start to see how substantial and how quick damage can occur throughout a structure, especially when there's open cavities. So even in a home, for instance, like if you have any attic space, that smoke will just run. And that's probably been one of the biggest things that I feel like I've been helping out with in the Pacific Palisades is a lot of the carriers just want to clean the drywall. And it's like we're getting into the wall cavities, the attic space, and all that smoke has gone through, especially now being 18 months in. You can actually start to see it coming through the drywall from those cavities. It's starting to work its way into the actual interior. So, a lot of my clients never felt comfortable moving back in, and I would say good on them because I think that that would have been a horrible idea. I've heard of people getting sick in the Palisades, and so anytime there's a fire loss with, especially a wildfire, there's so many chemicals that go along with that, and a lot of times I feel like the carriers are trying to discount how intense it is. I've actually had one where an adjuster showed up without any sort of PPE. They were not wearing personal protective equipment at all when they visited for a site visit, even though there was already on file things with lead contaminants and other heavy metals. They just disregarded it completely. So I always find that interesting when there's like actual factual test results coming back and they still try to discount it. But yeah, I think that's the thing with these losses, and especially what this client did. I mean, his whole role was to gather information, make sure all of it was supporting to what the actual value of the loss was. And so I enjoyed helping out with this one. I remember we had a lot of calls, a lot of talks, and just really working towards getting, factual information, a fair payout for the client, and just making sure that it wasn't just like a quick estimate and say, hey, here you go. Because I think if I remember correctly, like looking at this was the scope of work that I'd helped work up with him. There was another remediation company on the carrier side who actually put in an estimate. We're at $1 million. They were at like 22,000, if I remember correctly. And theirs was like, I mean, this thing is 37 pages. Theirs was like 4 pages long. Super simple. They just said like, hey, we're going to go down and wipe down everything really quick. But you can see through the photos and the actual estimate and all the supporting documentation that just wouldn't have worked. There's no way that that would have actually allowed, and especially when you're talking about kids, like moving kids back into an environment that's not properly remediated after a fire loss. It was just a big problem. A lot of distance between what the carrier wanted to pay and what my client and even just the property owners themselves felt like was fair. So that's what it was. But again, I'm Dustin with Empty Box. If you're going through any sort of loss similar to this, a fire loss, if you're in Ontario and need help, either as a contractor or a property owner who lost things, feel free to reach out. And we definitely, what we try to do at Empty Box is just a very fair service that has estimating in it and then helping with claims management as well. Like if you don't know, how to look at what is your policy cover or how to talk to the adjuster, things like that, we definitely help out there as well. And so if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, drop a like on the video. And if you have any questions about fire losses and how they should be properly bid, feel free to drop a comment. I'll get back to you, and we will see you on the next one.